Okay, so come and lie all the way down, just with your feet on the floor, knees bent up. Arms just drop at your sides wherever they're comfortable. Little wriggle to get into a good position. Uncurl the toes, let them spread open. Let your head rest heavily on the ground. And notice if it feels like your shoulders are curving forward, we'll let them open and drop back. So there's a sense of opening across the chest area. Just relaxing around the ribs, relaxing the belly. Let the hips settle. Let them feel heavy as well. Notice whether you're feeling a bit tight or kind of gripping around the hips or inner thighs. Maybe you could adjust the position of your legs so that your inner thighs can relax. And we'll just take a few slow breaths to quieten down and relax. So even relaxing your face muscles around eyes and cheeks and mouth. Softening around your throat. Just taking the time to notice what you naturally hold on to, where your tight areas are. Just a couple more breaths. Try and relax even deeper with each out breath. Really start to let go. And we'll bring in a small amount of movement, just turning your head over to one side. So gently lengthening up through one side of the neck. It might be also stretching into the shoulder, depending on how tight you feel today. And then up and over to the other side. Notice if it feels different, if it feels like you're a bit tighter on one side or you can't turn as far. To the first side again. And over to the other. Okay, reset through center. We'll just drop the knees over to one side, just as far as they can. You might be getting a stretch around the thigh or around the hip area, maybe up through the side body, again depending on where you feel tight today. Just breathe into it, let every out breath deepen the pose. And then slowly to the other side, so there's no need to rush into anything today. With your out breath, dropping in, and stay for an extra breath. Again, notice whether there's anything different on this side, if you're feeling it in a different place or you've got a different range of movement. To the first side again. Let the knees fall heavily across. And over to the other. Bringing your knees straight up. So we'll keep knees at around hip width apart. So there's a bit of a gap between the knees, aligning feet, knees and hips. And just bring your hands onto the fronts of your hips. Let the shoulders drop back again. And we're going to let the spine lift away from the ground. So we're tipping the tailbone down and pushing the belly button up, so arching through the back. And then tipping the other way, so pressing belly button down in towards the spine and pushing the spine down into the ground. So we're starting with quite an exaggerated movement, really pushing down into the ground, and then we'll arch again. So really feel what's happening inside your body. Get a sense of the alignment of your body and how, as the pelvis tilts, we're starting to get that curve through the spine. And then pressing belly in, pushing down into the ground. So this is more of a sense of tucking the tailbone underneath. So we'll just do this a few more times, but I want you to actually make the movement a bit smaller. So we'll just start to rock back and forth. You can take it at your own pace. But just start to reduce the movement so we're getting just a small amount of tone in the muscles as we tip one way and the other. So as you press the back down, we're just engaging and toning the abdominals slightly rather than forcing the back into the floor. And then we'll start to make it even smaller, so it's just a really, really small tilt of the pelvis. And then eventually you can start to feel a natural alignment in your body so that we're not tucked and curved and we're not arching, but there's just that little wee bit of tone in the abdominals, a slight lift of the lower back so it's not pushed down into the ground. And the ribs are gently closing in so they're not flaring open. And in this position, you might feel that your breath moves with more ease in your body. Okay, picking up one knee, try and maintain this position in the spine. So we'll just hug one knee in. So we're not pulling it in really, really tight because then we'll lose all of our posture that we've just created. Just gently drawing it in. And then with one hand on your knee, bring the knee open to the side. Other hand floats onto the hip just to help keep your hips level on the ground. So we've still got a slight sense of tensing the abdominals without gripping really, really tightly. So we only need a small amount of effort to maintain our posture. And then bringing the knee across, pass it to the other hand. You may like to bring your foot across to the opposite side and just gently pull the knee across. So try and keep both sides of the pelvis level on the ground so that we're not rolling off it. So here you might be feeling a stretch around the outside of the leg, of the thigh, or around the hip. Maybe you're feeling something up into the torso. And then bringing your knee into a neutral position, holding the knee with both hands, and the bottom foot slides out long, but try to do it without tilting the pelvis, so without adjusting the position of the pelvis. Slide it all the way out, so you might be getting a bit of tensing in the abdominals. Still maintaining your position, float the leg up, heel straight up to the ceiling, and then bring the knee in. Let's switch sides. Other foot comes to the floor. Just take a moment here, take a breath. And then bring the knee open to the side, other hand floats to the hip to help keep it level. Passing over to the other hand, it might be more comfortable to have the foot to the outside of the thigh, just depending on how far you're moving across. So still anchoring the pelvis, move the knee towards the midline of the body or a little bit past until you can feel a stretch around the outer hip or the outside of the leg or up into your body. Make sure you're not tensing the shoulders, or let them relax back. Now from a neutral position, taking hold with both hands, keeping your hips exactly where they are, bottom leg slides out long. So feel that bit of tension that creeps into the abdominals. Once the leg is straight, send the heel high up to the ceiling. And then bend both knees and bring one hand onto each knee. Now bring in the knees a bit closer. So we'll start to curve the spine again. Tailbone lifts as we hug in. Tilt your chin towards your chest and lift your chest towards your thighs. So we're curling up really small here. And then slowly lie all the way back down. We'll do this a few more times. Take a breath in first and then lift with the out breath. So as the breath releases, curl your way up. With the in-breath, lie all the way back down. Lifting again. Try and come up really, really small this time. So we're balancing as much as we can on as little of the spine as possible. We're just going to do it one more time. So lying all the way back. And this time as we lift, we'll hold this position. So curling up. Try and lift with the chest so we're not straining the neck. Now bring both hands to one knee and float the other leg out long. Just where you can, it could be high, could be low. And then bring it in, switch sides. If you're getting any strain in the neck, then you can do this lying back. Now let's start to move a bit quicker, cycling the legs. Try and use your breath, so each out breath, we pull the leg in. So the thigh comes in with each out breath. Breathing in as we switch. All right, and then grab behind both thighs. We'll rock up and down a few times before coming up to seated. So coming part way up, maybe you can balance. Rolling back, part way up. Couple more times. And on this, let's make this last one and we'll come all the way up to seated. It's always hard for me to count to 2 for some reason. The small numbers always get me. All right, so we're coming up to seated. You can be on a cushion or you can be straight on the ground. It's really up to you and what you feel more comfortable with. So if cross legs is really challenging, then do try and sit your pelvis up a little bit higher. Arms just resting on the legs wherever they're comfortable. Close your eyes down and try and internalize to feel your posture again. So compared to our other classes, you might feel that now, or compared to other times when you just come to seated, there's a little bit more tension in the abdominals with the preparation work we've already done. So notice how your posture might feel a little different today. Let's get that sense of vertically aligning from the pelvis to the ribs, across the shoulders, and the position of the head. Okay, so just like when we were lying down, we're not popping forward, we're not hunching and rounding, we're finding that nice neutral position where it feels like everything is vertically aligned and there's a lot of space to breathe right out into the sides of the ribs. Just a couple more breaths here, getting yourself settled. Okay, and then float your fingertips behind you. Lift the chest. Squeeze shoulder blades back and down. And then floating forward, fingertips ahead of you or onto your palms. So we're thinking about hinging from hips as we lean the chest forward. Notice any tightness that comes into the hip area. Try and let the knees drop out heavily. And then walk your hands over to one side, lean in towards the thigh. So we're not completely collapsing here. We still want that little bit of tension in the belly. So we're lengthening the body forward, anchoring that back hip. Let shoulders relax a little and just lean in. Come around to the other side. Leaning in. Coming up again, bring one hand onto each knee. Float one hand behind. Hand comes across to the opposite thigh and use just a gentle bit of leverage to turn through your middle spine and your upper back, and even turn the head looking behind. Now feel your posture in this pose as well. Get a sense that we're still aligning from the pelvis to the ribs to the shoulders. Still feeling a lot of space in the body to breathe into. Come around to the other side. So hand behind, hand across the thigh or knee, and rotate. So try and find that centered position. So we're not popping the chest forward, we're not hunching and rounding. We're creating a sense of spiraling upwards as we turn. All right, come around to the front and turn all the way over onto hands and knees. So power down into your hands. Let's just do a couple of cat-cow sequences so that we can kind of find that position in that postural alignment again. So we'll start by rounding out. So curve, curling in. Pull your belly up towards your spine, and then lengthen through. So just like we did when we were lying on our backs, sort of popping the chest through and feeling the tilt of the tailbone, feeling that tilt of the pelvis. Rounding out again. Pull belly to spine, let your back broaden. And feel the way the pelvis tips. Coming through. Try and press into every finger. Use all of your hand. So we're not just putting the weight into the wrists. Reset into a neutral position. So you may like to close your eyes and internalize your focus, also including the head. So we're not hinging, excuse me, we're not hinging at the neck. We're not dropping the head, we're not jutting forward. We're nice and long from the tailbone out to the crown of the head. So we still want to keep that little bit of tension in the belly without gripping really hard. It's just that gentle little lift and toning of the muscles. As we've done before, we're going to test out the pose. Tucking toes under and float your knees off the ground. Keep powering down into your hands and bring your weight forward so you're really pushing into your fingers, pressing into the base of the fingers and the mounds of the thumbs, so not just the wrists. Then see if you can lower the knees a little bit closer to the ground without losing the integrity of your posture. Check the position of your head. We're not looking back at the knees, looking straight down to the ground. If you're shaking, that's good. It means we're building strength and stability. Let's hold for one more breath. And then send your hips high. So push your weight right back. And then I want you to feel again that alignment. Hips ribs, shoulders, head. So we're not tipping the pelvis under, and we're not popping the chest through. We're nicely aligned. Keep powering down into the hands. And then try and broaden across the shoulders. So gently draw your shoulders away from your ears. So think about making your shoulders as wide as possible across the collarbones. Okay, coming forward into our plank. Same thing applies. We want to maintain that nice length all the way through the body. Then push into hands, send your hips up and back. Bend the knees as much as you want to. Send the tailbone high without losing the nice line at the front of the body. So we're still pulling in the ribs. Floating forward, all the way forward to your plank. Lift up and back. I'm just going to do this one more time. Shifting the weight forward and then pulling back. Bend the knees deeply and spring your right foot through into a lunge. So you may want to take a couple of steps so that you get that foot all the way forward so that you can drop into the heel. Start to ease into the pose. So you might be getting that big stretch up through the hip flexor. Every pose we move into, let's keep revisiting that nice long line. So here it's from the knee to the hip, all the way out to the crown of the head. Then we'll add on a twist, so plant the hand, turn towards your thigh and float your arm up. Eyes can follow if it feels good. Breathe into the pose. Bring the hand down. Tuck toes under, so back knee lifts. Just rock forward and back a couple of times, and then step both feet back to your down dog. Okay, bend the knees. This time left foot through. Bring it all the way forward. So a couple of steps if you need. Drop the back knee down. Release that back foot. Take a moment here to sink in. So we're not collapsing into the pose. We're not resting here. We want to stay strong and stable. That sense of lengthening out to the crown of the head. Then plant the hand. Turn your chest open and reach fingers up to the sky. Bring the hand down. Tuck the back toes under, knee lifts off. And we'll make our way back, but just rock a couple of times to get there. And back to your down dog. Okay, so planting firmly into the hands. Gently pulling in through the ribs, a little bit of tone in the abdominals, wide across the collarbones. Maintain this strong position, pressing into your hands, and float one leg up. Oh, actually float the right leg up. Let's all do the same leg. Now, as you come forward, bring your knee up towards your chest. So lift the thigh right up towards your body. Keep shifting the weight forward. Send the leg up again. And this time we're going to step the foot all the way through into a lifted full lunge position. So back knee stays off this time. Just settling in. Keep that back leg super strong. So we're drawing up through the thigh. Plant the left hand and take a twist. Try and broaden across the shoulders here as well. Keep pulling the top hand around as far as it feels good. And then bring the hand down. You're going to rock forward and back a few times. And then come back to your down dog. Take a moment here to check your position. Feeling strong, stable and aligned. Then float the left leg up just as high as you can without losing your alignment. Coming forward, knee to thigh. Keep bringing the weight all the way forward. Lift your thigh up towards your body and then send the leg to the sky again. Coming forward, lift the thigh, bit of clearance underneath, and a big step through. You can always take an extra step if you need it. Settling in. So dropping heavily into this front heel, adjust the foot if you can't. Then plant the right hand, revolve your body open and reach the arm up. With your out breath, keep rotating a little bit further. And touch down. Let's rock a few times. And come back to your down dog. Okay, coming all the way up to a forward fold. So walk your feet in. Stack feet under hips. Soft knees as we drape the body down. Just let everything loosen up here. Okay, spreading the toes, dropping heavily into the feet, so press into the balls of the feet and also back into the heels. Feeling that the ball of the big toe and the little ball of the little toe are both pressing equally into the ground. Now let's lift halfway up, hands float up to your shins or your thighs. So nice long spine here. Let's find that same position that we've been working on for the whole class. So we're not dropping the belly, we're not hunching. You can just feel that there's a lot of space around the ribs to breathe into, length from tailbone out to the crown of the head. Now sit hips back and down, reach arms up. Still trying to maintain this position. Dropping in, reaching up, and mount all the way down into your forward fold. Let's do this again. We'll lift halfway up. We're going to do this 4 times, if I can count properly. Sit hips back and down, arms reach up. Now this time as you rise, lengthen the tailbone down, lift your chest and pull your arms back. And then release all the way down. 2 more times. So you can bring hands to shins or you can float them out wide. Dropping in, sweeping up, sitting low. Lift and stretch. Melt back down, and we've just got 1 more. Halfway up. Sit and reach. Keep pulling the belly in. Pull the ribs in. Reach on up. Eye gaze follows if you like. And release all the way down to your fold. Couple of breaths, shake out whatever you need to. Okay, and then scoot one leg under, come and take a seat. We'll just stay seated for a little bit, just to readjust before we go all the way down to the ground again. So bring hands onto your shins or hold your feet. Try and hinge from the hips as you lean your body forward. If it feels like your knees are up here, that's perfectly fine. It's all about progress and patience. So just leaning in, let the knees start to widen. And then we'll come all the way down onto the ground, onto your backs to where we started. Feet flat on the floor, keep your knees parallel, so we've got that little gap between the knees. Arms down the sides of your body, shoulders broaden, plant down into your feet and lift your hips off. Now here, See if you can create that same feeling of aligning. So we're not popping the ribs up and we're not collapsing into the pose. We want to try and get a sense of lengthening from the shoulders all the way out to the knees, like one long line. You can clasp hands, you can hold hips, or just keep the arms down at your sides. And we'll stay here for a couple more breaths. And then finally lower all the way back down. Rolling back down. And then let your spine return to a natural position. So there's just a very, very slight gap between your lower back and the ground. So a little bit of toning in the abdominals for now. Send one leg up. Doesn't have to be completely straight depending on how tight you feel in your hamstring. Hold with the same hand anywhere on the leg. Could be the thigh, could be the calf, could be the big toe. You've got long arms like me. Anchor the other hip and float your leg open just to where you can without lifting off the hip. Okay, so we're keeping it nice and level across the pelvis. And then coming all the way over to the other side. So again, it might just be to the midline of your body, might be just across. Make sure that you're not twisting and lifting off. Anchor down. See if you can feel a stretch down the outside of the leg. And then we'll continue all the way over. Just keep your hands wherever they're comfortable, maybe on the ribs or float open. Start to calm and quieten the breath again. Right, let's make our way back up through center, other leg lifts. Hold it in the same hand, thigh or calf. Move it out to the side. So it might just be the diagonal. It might be as far as you can come without rocking the hips. Passing it to the other hand. Just enough to feel the stretch down the outside of the leg or maybe around the outer hip. Coming all the way over. Okay, and we've only got a couple of minutes left, so let's finish today in a seated position. Just some crossed legs, eyes closed, simply focusing on the breath. So get comfortable here. Feel that vertical alignment in your body, the way everything is stacked, creating stability and ease. Feel your breath filling your body in all directions, at the front of the body, at the back, and down to the sides. Big, full breaths. Now Now floating arms high with your next breath in, reach on up. Stretch up tall, then bring hands together, slide them down your center, landing at your heart space.